So, Akira Toriyama passed away, and it really sucks. I want to make this video. Today is the day I figured out he died, a few hours ago, actually. I've been thinking about this for a while. I thought it might be a bit ghoulish, of devious or kind of evil and shitty to make a video talking about it and maybe reap some sort of benefit from it. Thought about it some more, and well, I don't make money off YouTube, right? So there is no actual benefit, and that alleviates my worries a bit, right? If I did make money, I would probably turn off monetary, gains from it, like whatever it's called, the monetization. But I don't, so I don't have to worry about that. But I wanted to do this. I thought it'd be interesting and important to remember Akira Toriyama and remember his works and the joy and wonder that they provided. And I don't have all of his works that I own here with me, so I can't show you all of them, but I can show you at least one thing that I have that relates to Akira Toriyama, and I can talk about my feelings associated with his works, right? And I think that that is a great way to honor the great creator and possibly person that he was, right? I don't know him personally. I don't know that I've ever heard any real bad news about him, except maybe that he's close to the guy that did Rory Kenshin, who's like a convicted, pedophile or something. But, you could argue that it was because his company forced him to. I'm not really sure if that was the case or not, but that's not really what I want to focus on. I want to focus on how Akira Toriyama affected me, how his work affected me, right? And so I may not even release this video. I'm not really sure yet, but I wanted to talk about Dragon Ball specifically because, well, it might not be my favorite series, but it was definitely pretty important to me for a while. Nearly as important, if not more important, than basically anything else from my childhood. It's more important than Pokemon, more important than, or maybe as important as Saint Seiya. But the importance of the series grows more the longer that I stay as a fan of manga, whereas the other ones kind of stay the same, right? And that is because without Dragon Ball, I don't think I would like anime or manga the way that I do, right? I managed to make a video, and actually just 2 days ago, as of recording this on May 7th, March 7th, March 5th, was the 4th year that this channel has been around, which is mind-boggling, right? But it's not about my channel either. It's about my love for manga, my interest in anime, and how it all connects to Akira Toriyama. And I want to talk about that and kind of talk about the really interesting and important feelings that I have for the series, right? And also, I don't know, I felt it was appropriate to do so. So my history with Dragon Ball is as follows. I was aware of Dragon Ball Z as a child, but I didn't really watch it. Somehow, I got my hands on a Dragon Ball Game Boy game. I still own it. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my parents' house somewhere, but I still own it. I have never given it away. I got it from a friend of mine. And maybe I got it after I started watching the series. I can't remember the order of events. It's been, 18 years maybe since that happened. Maybe less, like 14 or 15. But I got into Dragon Ball because there was a time period in my life where I lived in a hotel. Not like Zack and Cody. That would have been really cool. Like, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. It was more like we lived in one area of the city that I'm from, or town, I guess is the right word. And we sold our house, and our other house was still being made because our house sold a bit too quickly more quickly than was expected of the market at the time. And so there was like a period of like, I want to say 2 months, where we had to live in a hotel. And well, hotels don't really have like cable. Like they have a lot of channels available to them, but they don't really have like cable. And this was before Netflix was really a thing, right? And so I would hog my mom's laptop because she didn't really use it. And after school, but before dinner, which was things that my mom bought from a lady that made food. I don't know, it's a very like Hispanic thing to do. To like want homemade food but not want to make it, so you buy it off your friend. I don't know, it's interesting. And what I watched was Dragon Ball, and I watched it on YouTube. I had to find, part 1 and part 2 and part 3 and part 4 and part 5 and part 6, and sometimes I couldn't find it, and I would have to continue with the episode, right? Regardless. And I spent, I think, most of those 2 months just constantly rewatching Dragon Ball. Whatever episode I really liked, I just kept watching it. My mom was tired of me doing it, but Dragon Ball was the first anime that I watched that was conscious, was anime, that I knew this is not normal. This is different from what I usually watch, right? And it was glorious and wonderful and funny and ridiculous. And I loved Goku as a kid. I mean, I still like him. I think he's really cool. But I really love Kid Goku. I don't necessarily love adult Goku. I think he's awesome. But, out of Dragon Ball Z, I like Vegeta better. But Kid Goku is perfect. He's so fun and naive and stupid and childish and wonderful, right? And so that transition period, which was a little bit, it was pretty tough. It's kind of weird to basically reduce your existence from a big ass house to a room, the tiny room, where you had to exist with your parents and your sister at all times, and there's no break from that, right? It's pretty tough. I didn't really have any room to exist, basically, for a while. And I mean, I was only like 9 or 10 years old. It wasn't like that bad. Like if I was a proper teenager, it would have been horrible. But I wasn't at that age yet. But it was really rough, right? And so Dragon Ball gave me somewhere to go, right? And somewhere to feel good and feel, like, I don't want to be dramatic, but like a place where like it was interesting to be, which was very different from my actual reality. I was either at school, in a new school, because I had to go to the new school near my house instead of the one that I used to go to, and so I had to start over. And it was either go to the school where you're the new kid that doesn't know anyone, or live in the shitty hotel apartment, like room that you had, or watch Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball was significantly better than either of those two options. And so it basically kept me entertained and like well for that time period. And then a few years later, the first manga I ever bought was this copy of Dragon Ball right here, right? It's beat up, it's kind of old, it has some stains and issues in it. And it's horrible, it's ugly, it's old. But this is the first manga I ever bought. And the first manga I ever finished collecting was also Dragon Ball. I bought it off my high school friend. His name was Jesse. I can't remember his last name. And it's been many years since I talked to him. I used to talk to him, when I went back home every once in a while. But eventually I stopped. I don't remember why, and I don't think his phone number is the same anymore, and I don't have it on Discord anymore. He got rid of it. But I still remember him because every time I go home and I look at my bookshelf, those 5 Dragon Ball this bigs are right there staring at me. And he got them from like a library sale or something, or his sister rented them out from the library and they never gave him back, so they kept them. I can't remember. he sold all 5 books to me for $25 total. When we graduated from high school, I think, or near our graduation. And that was the first manga I finished collecting, right? And then many years went by before I got into manga again. And it wasn't really because of Dragon Ball. Sadly, I can't connect my resurgence of love for manga to Dragon Ball. But it's definitely due to manga that follow in the Dragon Ball lineage, right? I think Dragon Ball is amazing, and it really changed the vibe, right, of Shonen Jump. And many of the great action series that followed it are all very inspired by Dragon Ball, right? And maybe you can argue that that's not true, that they're inspired by other things, but I really do think that Dragon Ball and Saint Seiya, and maybe Fist of the North Star too, and maybe JoJo's if you want to kind of mention that as well. Although I think JoJo's kind of disappeared for a while and then had a resurgence. But, you know, at least Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball and Masami Kurumada, his Saint Seiya series definitely influenced the big 3. And then the big 3 influenced the next generation, the new big 3 or whatever you want to call them, next gen. And it's going to definitely influence more, right? And you see Dragon Ball references everywhere. I think a lot of people in the West, young men and young girls, know about the Journey to the West and Sun Wukong thanks to Akira Toriyama, right? I've never read Journey to the West, but I'm aware of it very much. And of course I know that early Dragon Ball especially was very like similar to it, or had a lot of vibes connected to it, right? And it's just a really special series to me. It's not my favorite, like I said, but it just means a lot. It has a lot of like a lot of key moments in my journey through collecting and through reading and through existing, I guess, tie in with Dragon Ball, right? The first Game Boy game I got, or no, maybe like the third one, was that Dragon Ball game that I mentioned. I got it from my buddy Eduardo. He was getting tired of his Nintendo games, and he didn't want a bunch of them anymore. And he was going to go give them to Goodwill. And I was like, no, sell them to me instead. And so I bought a few of them. One of them was that Dragon Ball game. I remember spending a lot of time playing the Budokai game, right? The Dragon Ball fighting game with Eduardo and his brother Ramon. I remember watching Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Z Kai. And even my dad knows who Goku is. When I graduated university, you know, a few months ago, my dad gave me a book, or like a notebook, and he customized it. He got it especially made with like whatever he thought was what I wanted. And at the bottom of it, at the little corner of the page, he customized it to have Goku's head's silhouette. So there's a little Goku head at the bottom of this special graduation gift my dad got me. And so somehow Dragon Ball is like in many facets of my life in a really interesting and kind of subtle way. And it's really special. And I honestly feel kind of emotional right now. Like I don't hold Akira Toriyama, you know, on some pedestal. I think he was just a person that happened to get lucky and make a great thing, right? But he's intimately tied to something that matters to me, right? And so it feels really sad to know that he passed away. He was still pretty young. I think he was like 68 or something. I can't remember what the official announcement said. But I hope that, you know, he wasn't in pain his last few days. I'm not really sure why he died or how he died, right? So we'll have to see what happened. But I hope that he spent it, you know, well with family and friends and with people that cared about him and cared about his works, and that he knew that, you know, his works are important to all over the world, to so many people, right? And that he was happy about that, that he felt good about that fact, right? I don't believe in, you know, the afterlife or anything. I'm not religious, and so I don't I don't ascribe to anything that I find religious, right? And you know, life after death is definitely something that falls in that category. So I'll say rest in peace, because that is the correct thing to say when someone is dead. But ultimately, I hope that his family is okay, that that he knew that people loved his work, and through the love of his work, they loved him in some way, and that he did a great thing, that he made so many amazing, wonderful, very fun stories that meant a lot to a lot of people, right? And I guess that's all there is to say. I don't know if this was a good video or a bad video or even worth watching, but I do think I will post it on the channel at some point. I was gonna rush to post it today, but like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it might be a little bit ghoulish to do something like that, to try to gain some views or something out of it, right? So I think I'll wait a few days. But this was recorded the day that, you know, we knew that he died, right? This is an immediate reaction to the news, or maybe not immediate because it's been a few hours since I found out, but it's within the time frame of, like, you know, it happening or it being told to us. And I hope that, you know, well, I don't know. I don't know what I hope. I'm just sad that it happened, right? And there really isn't too much else to say. That's just what it is, right? So those are my feelings, my emotions, my reaction, my connection to Akira Toriyama, and kind of the thoughts swirling in my head of, you know, after the passing of, you know, a great figure of manga and anime, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what's going on with you. You know, how are you dealing with this? Did it affect you? Did it, you know, change something about you? Did you love Akira Toriyama's works? Did you like them? You know, stuff like that. Let me know down below. And thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope everyone's okay. And, you know, I hope for the best for Akira Toriyama's family and his friends and all the people that worked with him, right? So, yeah, that's it. See you guys later.